Hello and welcome to Carla Knits. This is a podcast about knitting, sometimes crocheting, but always all of the yarny goodness that I love. Today is Monday, August 12th, and I'm coming to you from my home in Nebraska. A big hello and welcome to everyone. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new, thank you for stopping by. I feel like I have lots to discuss today, so we're going to talk about the Merry Make-Along, which is a make-along going on in the Carla Knits Ravelry group, and I'm going to share some of your finished objects from that make-along there. I'm going to talk a little bit about the 12 skeins of Christmas. I have 3 finished objects, and I have some works in progress. Talking about an upcoming informal make-along, and then also some knitting frustrations or anxieties. So yeah, we'll be discussing those things today. So I hope you're all doing well and have your knitting and crocheting with you, and we will get started. All right, so in our Ravelry group, and all of these things will be linked down below. In the Carla Knits Ravelry group, we currently have the Merry Make-Along going on. It started July 1st and goes through August 31st. So still, excuse me, a couple of weeks left in this make-along. It was kind of like a Christmas in July make-along. So you can be working on gifts for other people, something festive for yourself. And we have, several that I'm going to share today, some finished objects. You guys are doing really, really well. So that should feel really good. So here we go with some Ravelry users and their finished Christmas makes. So first is M's Little Nest, and she is knitting some hats for charity. Let's see, Fireboy Wife has 2. She has socks for her sister and socks for her brother-in-law for Christmas. Number 3, or the next one, is Mystery Sewer, and she's got a bright pair of socks. Fern Mama Makes, she has 2, and she just got one in today before I podcast. So she has a hat. She's already thinking about teacher gifts, which I think is fantastic. And then she has a pair of socks that were recently finished. So good job. LME Cole has socks for her nephew. I think these are a really great masculine yarn. Nice pair of socks there. Rosalba B has a beautiful shawl. It's the Suma or Summa stripes shawl, and I believe she said that was for her mom. Tree Source LTD has another pair of scrappy socks. If you were here last time, I shared a pair of her scrappy socks too. Lanny 129 has Christmas socks for her baby granddaughter that is due in November. So what an exciting time for you. Knit, Read, Play, let's see, has 2. She has a cross-stitch ornament, and I know she's making a series of cross-stitch ornaments for her grandchildren. And then she has a shorty pair of socks for her sister. NM Fox has 3 finished things today. A broken garter stitch scarf for a brother, and then a couple pair of socks here. And I think that is it. Yes, I'm just trying to double check my notes here. I believe that is it. So thank you to all of you who are participating. I hope that you are feeling so good about getting some of those Christmas gifts finished for people. I know that can feel really, really good, and it can only help you as we get into those busier times of the holidays, November and December. So thank you to all who are participating, and you still have a couple weeks to get going or to jump into this make-along. You don't have to finish anything. You can just talk about your progress. You can share progress pictures on what you're making. There's just one thread. If you have a finished object, you can post it twice, so that counts for 2 entries. And at the end of August, so probably the first podcast in September, I will be drawing 2 prizes from that thread, both for pattern prizes on Ravelry up to $10. So very good work. All right, the next thing I wanted to talk about just a little bit was the 12 Skeins of Christmas mini skein swap. I put out a separate video about this just a little while ago, and I have had several people sign up for it, which is great. You know, many of those people are returning and have done it since I started it. So yeah, I love that you all love this little mini skein swap. It is really fun, and I enjoy it too. I wanted to put this out there. So it is a mini skein swap of 12 skeins, but then often we communicate with our partner and we want to include maybe a full skein of yarn and some extra little goodies. And that may not be feasible for everyone. In today's economy, you know, things are really high priced, and so maybe just exchanging those mini skeins is enough. And so, you know, if you would like to participate, and someone passed this term along, a no frills swap. So if you are just interested in those 12 mini skeins, swapping 12 of yours for 12 of somebody else's, you can let me know that too. So the way you sign up is to message me on Ravelry. So if you would only be interested in just the mini skeins, you know, no frills, no extras, you know, you can let me know that, and I will try to pair up people that way too. If you've already contacted me, if you would like to be a no frills person too, please let me know. You know, I should have thought about this all these couple of years that I've been doing this. And some of us just don't want all of the extras, or we don't need all the extras, or, you know, we feel like we have enough things. So whatever the situation is, if you would like a, you know, strictly mini skeins, let me know. If you are okay with communicating with your partner and like to exchange other things, you can let, you know, that is fine too. So I would love to have more people sign up. It's really fun. You can have up to 2 partners. You can let me know if you'd like to swap with 1 person or 2. And so information about that is in the Carla Knits Ravelry group and will be linked down below. I hope this makes sense. If you want to ask further questions, please don't hesitate, either in the comments down below or send me a message. All right, I have 3 finished objects today. The first you saw in the thumbnail for Carla Knits, and this hat is still damp, so I'm not going to put it back on, but this is the Hot Springs Willow hat by Shelby Nichols. Let's see, I'll hold that up. And it was made out of La Bien-Aimée Cory Confetti, which is a DK weight yarn. It's made up of 50% Corriedale wool, 30% wool, and they said 20% other. And it is in the color Gray Bow, which just makes me think of gray and rainbow. So I love all of these speckles in here. I shared before that this reminds me of a melamine bowl that my mom had or has at home that I remember from growing up, and that's what really drew me to this yarn. The pattern, did I say that already? I think I did. Hot Springs Willow Hat by Shelby Nichols. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. So it looks like cables, but they're kind of faux cables because you make them with increases and decreases. And you can see they're not exactly traditional cables standing up and down. They have a slant, a slight slant, and that would be from those you know, increases and decreases. But I absolutely love this hat. I love how it fits. This was a really fun pattern. The pattern comes with 3 different ways you can knit your brim. You could just do, you know, a short brim, or you could do a folded brim like I chose to do here, or you could do the folded and sewed under brim, but this is the way I chose to do it. So there is my finished hat, and I'm very, very happy with that. All right, I also have 2 finished pairs of socks. So the first pair of socks I have to share are my vacation socks. So this is the Vacation Socks pattern on Ravelry by Marie-Elyse Dugal. The pattern and this beautiful yarn were gifted to me by my friend Lois, who is a very good friend in person where I live. And the yarn is Emma's yarn, and the colorway is called Vacay. So very perfect. Lois knew I was going on vacation to Minnesota, and that I'd be there on my birthday, so she gifted this to me. So I did start these on vacation, and there were some difficulties. I shared about knitting in the car and having to pull out. So not the best pattern maybe for traveling if you're very distracted or talking with people, but I really enjoyed just sitting at home, you know, in the evenings. And I was doing a lot of it in the evenings, you know, just going through the pattern. And it was, you know, a 10-row repeat. It was very fun. I could still watch TV, but I was able to follow along the pattern just fine at night with minimal distractions. So these actually are for me, and you know, not only commemorating my birthday and you know, my vacation to Minnesota, but I would say my summer vacation too from teaching. So my summer vacation socks, I think. But I really love how these turned out, so pretty. Again, this looks like a cable, but this is not a true cable. It's a faux cable made with increases and decreases. So very similar to the hat. So thank you again, Lois. I really love how these turned out. Then the other finished pair of socks were started on vacation. I had just tucked an extra skein of yarn into my vacation knitting, just in case I needed something plain, because everything else was, you know, had a pattern to it. So I completed this pair of socks, and these actually are for my husband's Aunt Gail. She has a September birthday coming up. And she did see me knitting on the first one there and commented that she really, you know, thought the yarn was pretty. I gifted her with a pair of socks last year, and she really loved them. So I know that she will enjoy these. The yarn is Active Yarn, or Active Super Garn, and it is in the color number 2663. And I really just like these self-patterning yarns. I just think they are so fun. I did not try to match them, but I really, really love these. I just think these are so much fun. So those are my finished objects for today. And now into some works in progress, which is maybe where some of my knitting frustration lies. I will share this first. I started, oops, and I'm pulling out stitches. Well, that's okay. I'm pulling out several stitches. That's all right. So I swatched, this is my second swatch for the Chantilly Summer Top. This is a pattern that I saw that I really loved, and Jeff gifted me the sweater quantity of yarn for my birthday with a Lion Brand gift card. So the yarn that I'm using, I should tell you about that. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. This is Lion Brand. It's the LB collection. It's cotton, bamboo, linen. So 40% cotton, 35% bamboo, and 25% linen. This pattern is a crochet pattern, and I have not had a whole lot of experience with crochet garments, or I should say successful crochet garments, until last year when I crocheted a sweater. But I really, really was drawn to this top. And so, you know, I am excited to work on this if I can get my gauge to work. So it said, you know, it called for a USG, which I grabbed my USG hook and I crocheted my swatch. We were watching a SpongeBob movie. I crocheted up my swatch, my first one. And when I measured it, it was way too big. I'm like, that's weird. And I guess I'm thinking, like with my knitting, I often have to go up a needle or two to meet gauge because I tend to be tighter. And I guess I don't know for sure if I'm tight or loose crocheter. But at any rate, my swatch was way too big. And I thought, okay, that's kind of weird. So I looked at my hook, at the G hook, and it said G and it said 4.25. And then I went back to the pattern and it said G 4.0 millimeter. So there is a discrepancy between some G crochet hooks. So some are 4.0, excuse me, 4.0 millimeters. Some are 4.25 millimeters, and both are categorized as G hooks. So I did not do it on the correct number of hook. I only looked at the letter. So I looked through my crochet hooks. I have some of my, you know, mother-in-law's crochet hooks, and I did not have one that was a 4.0. So I quickly went on Amazon and added one to my cart, and you know, it should be here on Wednesday, which is good. Well, in the meantime, I thought, okay, you know, it was like an inch too big with that 4.25. So I thought, I do have a 3.75 hook. I'm going to go down. So this is with the 3.75 hook. And it is measuring a 1/4 inch too small in the width, but it is measuring a 1/4 of an inch too high in the height. So width too small, height too high. So I know I'm assuming when I get the correct hook, the 4.0 crochet hook, and I swatch again, I assume that my length will probably be right on. I'm hoping. But then the height is still going to be, it might be the same or it might be a little bit bigger. So I'm a little, I'll say that is one of my first frustrations. So this isn't a knitting frustration, but this is a crochet swatching frustration. You know, I really want to make this sweater, but we'll see when I get that new hook and swatch for it. We'll see what I decide to do. Like I said, I really want to make this, and I like the finished object so much, but I am frustrated a little bit with the swatching. And it doesn't take terribly long to swatch this up, but it is a finer weight yarn. It is probably a sport. Let's see if it says on there. I think it's probably a sport weight yarn. I guess it doesn't say that on there, or maybe they classify it as a fingering weight yarn. At any rate, that is hopefully someday going to be the Chantilly summer top, but I definitely am feeling some frustrations with that. Next, let's see, next work in progress to share, and I don't seem to be able to find it at the moment. Okay, here we go. All right, and I'm already pulling out my Halloween bags. I don't know about you guys, but I said I live in Nebraska, and most of the summer we are very humid and hot, but this last week or so, we've had temperatures in the 70s, so much cooler. We've had some really gray overcast days, and so it has felt much more like fall. So my thoughts are turning towards fall, and I thought, oh, it might be fun to pull out a Halloween bag. And it so happens that this is a October themed yarn. So I am making this pair of socks. I'm going to use the Rose City Roller pattern again, which I used this summer for a pair of socks for myself. So this is going to be the Rose City Rollers for my daughter-in-law, Kelsey. And she also has a September birthday. And I was going to cast on this for her, but I knew I wanted this to be for part of her Christmas present. So so I was really debating, you know, should I start this first? Should I not worry about this? But I have had this yarn in my stash for many years, and it's kind of it's kind of unraveling here. So let me show you. It is this yarn. And I just have the tiniest little bit started on here. So it's that little roll top. You just go straight into stockinette knitting, and it gets a little bit of a rolled cuff. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. The yarn is by Maker's Haven, who no longer dyes, but I have several sock sets of hers. This was a 70-gram sock set, so 50 in the orange, 50 grams in the orange, and 20 in the mini. So I'm going to do most of the sock with this, and then just pop this in for the toe of the sock. And the colorway is called the Color of October. And every year for the last several years, I have told myself, okay, when it gets to be about September or October, you know, you're going to knit those socks. You're going to knit that color up. And every year, other things get in the way. I decided to do this for Kelsey because she really loves Halloween and Halloween decorations. And so I thought these would be fun for her. I have gifted her, you know, regular or longer length socks usually every Christmas, but I thought in Nebraska, it's usually pretty warm still. Well, it could go either way, but a lot of years it is still pretty warm in October and on Halloween. So I thought just a shorty pair of socks could be really fun for her. So not too much of a start on that, but it's some of a start. And I still am planning to cast on these. I don't know if I should finish my orange socks first before starting. I mean, I probably should, but I really want to cast this yarn on too. This is Jack and Sally, which Kelsey absolutely loves, Nightmare Before Christmas. So yeah, I'm really debating about casting that on too. So just lots of different things going on in my head with my knitting, lots of thoughts. My last work in progress was originally supposed to be one pattern, and then it turned into another pattern. So this is, let me grab the pattern. No, that was the other pattern. I believe this is the Age of Brass and Steam. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. I started this last night after having started with this yarn in another pattern. So this is Barocco Topaz. I have 3 skeins of this yarn that I won at a yarn store in Omaha. And I was going to make the pattern Gusty by Fogbound Knits. And in fact, that is on my Make 9. It is the final pattern on my Make 9 New Projects board. Well, I started that pattern, and it's all in garter stitch, and I started it, and you know, when I initially saw the pattern way back when I was looking to put it on my Make 9, I thought I thought it was more of a shawl. I didn't look closely at it, but it's actually a cowl. So the gusty is actually a cowl. So you knit it in a tube, and then you pick up stitches and then make that part. So I wasn't completely sure about that, but I thought, no, I'll give it a try. But I was knitting up this yarn, and I really didn't care for it in that pattern. I didn't really care for it in just garter stitch. So I decided, and it was only going to use up maybe 2 of the skeins of the 3. So I thought, well, what else can I do? So I was digging through Ravelry. I remembered this pattern, which I think is in my favorites and has been for a while. But again, The Age of Brass and Steam, I believe, and I will have it linked down below. But I started working on this last night. This is a free pattern. You can use, you know, any weight of yarn that you like. My needles are definitely curling up here. But you have just a lot of stockinette, and then you have an eyelet section. And so I enjoy eyelets, and some mindless stockinette is great too. But I like how the yarn is just showing up better in this pattern. So nothing wrong with the gusty pattern, and maybe I will knit it at some point in the future. It's in my library, but I think I am going to be happier. And, you know, hopefully I would like to use up all 3 skeins of yarn. So we'll see how big, you know, this gets, but that would be really nice because I've had that for a couple of years and, you know, I think that would be really nice to use it. This happens to be the school colors, blue and gold, for the public school in our town. And so I thought this would be a really fun shawl to have. With those colors. I thought that was really fun that the yarn that I won from that store, you know, had those blue and gold colors for, yeah, the Blue Jays here in town. So that is, you know, my newest shawl. But having shown you those 3 works in progress, just the last few days have been so frustrating. And it's not only the knitting and crocheting wise. I'll just talk. We're just gonna talk here. So I finished my finished objects. One was finished on the 8th. One was finished on the 9th. The hat was finished on the 10th. So those 3 works in progress that I've been focusing on got finished in 3 days. And then I'm faced with, okay, this is great. I get to cast on everything. But I started with that crochet top, and I swatched, and, you know, right away, no, it's not right. You don't have the right hook size. So it's going to end up that I'm going to swatch 3 times and hopefully be able to make an informed decision on which I should do. But that was very frustrating. Then there was some going back and forth in my brain. Should I cast on the Jack and Sally socks? Should I cast on the October socks? Should I cast on both socks? Well, you don't really need to cast on 2 pairs of socks at the same time. You probably don't need to do that. And so do you guys have conversations in your head about your projects? I mean, I have conversations in my head about a lot of things. There's a lot of inner dialogue going on in there, you know, almost all of the time. But, you know, these are the things I was talking about. Well, do you need to have 2 pairs of socks? You know, they're both going to be, you know, just simple stockinette. Do you really want to do that? So, you know, I ultimately decided to cast on that October pair, but I'm still really, really wanting to cast on Jack and Sally too. And so that may get cast on. I don't know. I haven't completely decided. And then this, you know, was going to be one thing. I had already had several inches on that gusty. And then I did that on Saturday night. Or Sunday night. No, I did part of that on Saturday night. I think I swatched for my crochet sweater Friday night. I started the gusty cowl shawl kerchief thing on Saturday night, And then Sunday, as I was looking at it and I started to do a few stitches on it, I'm like, I really don't like this. I don't like this at all. So then, I just ripped it out, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? So I spent some time looking for a pattern, but I really do like, I am happy with this now. I am happy with this. So I think this is going to be, a fun project. Do I need another shawl? No, I don't know if I will keep this or if it will be a gift for somebody, but for now, that's what this yarn is going to be as of today. So those 3 projects, my new projects, kind of had a lot of just questions around them, and I was just feeling kind of blah about them. And I think with the weather being, it's been cool, which I love the cool, don't get me wrong, but it's just been really gloomy and it's been damp. And I'm going to keep going here. We brought our daughter Jenna to school on Saturday. So we have 3 children. Our 2 boys have been out of the house, and Jenna is a college sophomore. And so, we had our empty nest year last year, but she came home for the summer, and you get used to, we got used to having her around and having fun. And then we took her back, and she is living in a sorority house this year. So they had to go back 2 weeks ahead of when classes start. We got into her sorority house, and her room that she's sharing with one other friend is so very tiny. It is so very tiny. I don't know how they're going to manage. And her bed was broken. So the wooden bed frame was actually cracked, sorry, cracked and broken. So there was no way that she could safely sleep in that bed. So, we talked to her, or Jenna talked to her house mother, and the house mother was, trying to get someone over to fix it. Well, they couldn't get someone to fix it till Sunday night. And so, all of Jenna's and her roommate's stuff is still packed in boxes, nothing unpacked at all as of Sunday night at around 6:30. And so, of course, Jeff and I are just having a hard time because, we feel so bad that, this is Jenna's introduction to her sophomore year, and, hopefully things will get better. They did come and fix the bed. They are going to bunk the beds today. Jenna says they are coming today. And so then they can continue to unpack some more. But it just was a real ordeal. And you love your kids so much and you want to take care of them. But there was only so much that we could do. We couldn't really help unpack or anything. So, but Jenna's, she's a young woman, and she's smart, and she is very capable of taking care of things, but it's hard on a mom and dad's heart. We all want the best for our kids. So hopefully things will continue to look up, once they get those beds bunked and can unpack more. The issue with the unpacking is that they are busy with activities from 9 to 5 every day this week. So the unpacking is going to have to take place at night. So we'll see what happens with that. Thank you for listening. So I had Jenna on my mind a lot this weekend. We helped move her, boxes and everything into that tiny, tiny room. And then, frustrations with the knitting and crocheting. All right. And I'm going to share just because, you guys are my friends, and I feel like I can talk to you. So, recently we reached 1,000 subscribers on this channel, which was amazing. And, if I could live in my dream Carla world, I would just sit all day and knit and crochet and make beautiful projects and talk to you all and make videos all the time. That would be so much fun. And I would love to make tons of money doing YouTube videos. But realistically, that's probably not going to happen. Anyway, I did get an email from YouTube that said, I have reached enough watch hour times where you can monetize your videos. I thought, oh, how cool. That's really cool. And so I've gone through different steps to try to do that. And then it turns out that all of my videos from this past year cannot be monetized because of my music that I have used on it. So I used music, which the owner of the music allows it to be used on YouTube, but does not allow you to profit from it. So I guess in hindsight, way back when, I should have maybe thought about that, but that's the way it goes. So if you noticed a different introduction, very, no more song at the beginning right now, because between us, it would be nice to make a little bit of money from doing these videos. I do spend a lot of time knitting, crocheting, and it does take some time, to work, to film these videos and do some editing and do some uploading and posting different things, posting on Instagram. And it would be nice at least to get a little bit of money back to help with, giveaways on Ravelry, or, postage, or sending any of that stuff. So all of these things have been swirling around in my mind. And I know this is a lot of chatter, so I'm sorry. If you stuck here this long, thank you. I want to share one more thing. We will be having an upcoming make-along. So this is Labor Day hat Cal make-along. Mal make-along, because you could knit or crochet a hat. And I've done this a couple of Memorial Days and Labor Days, where I open a chatter thread in Ravelry, and you can pick a hat to make, you can work on it, you can post finished object pictures. It's not for prizes, it's just kind of a fun thing that you have this little community, this little dialogue going on over these 4 days with friends, and you make hats. So it will go, Friday, August 30th through Monday, September 2nd. So over the Labor Day weekend, Friday through Monday. So I just wanted to give a little bit of heads up about that if you want to start thinking about, looking for some hat patterns, or looking for some yarns that you might want to use for hats. I just think that would be really fun. So that's something that I will be thinking about coming up to, some hat patterns. So I think that brings us to the end. So thank you for listening to me today. I've loved sharing my finished objects with you. I would love to hear from you what you're working on. I'd love to hear if you have some knitting frustrations, or frustrations regarding, your crafting. Do you talk to yourself about your crafts and try to make decisions? I love this hobby, and I want it to be something that brings me joy and not stress. And I know most of the stress I bring on myself, so I need to not do that. But most of the time, my knitting brings me very, very much joy. I absolutely love this hobby. So with that, I will say goodbye. I hope you all are well, and I will see you in a few weeks. Take care.